Now next up, I had this idea for this panel because last time I came, only a few weeks ago, and even the times before that, so I've been here 4 times in 6 months, that's how welcoming this community is. I've noticed that there's a lot of struggles within the community. Can you hear it? Louder? Had to be you, man. Had to be you. Okay, so there's a lot of problems within the community, and it's not specific to Seattle. I mean, it's all over the country, all over the world, but specifically here, it's just because of how warm and welcoming the community is, it upsets me, and I can see that it upsets everyone else when there's issues within. And I remember my first visit, I was here for about 2 weeks in the summer, and as I left, I felt really emotional. And one of the brothers who's coming up, Petty Pro, he told me when I was leaving, I said, man, the love here is overwhelming. And one thing he said to me which stuck with me, and I'm getting goosebumps now thinking about it, he said, now you know why it hurts so much when we lose someone. And this, you know, to me, I thought, it's crazy. Like, how many of you can tell me stories of people that have been incarcerated, or you've known that have lost their life? Only 2 days ago, the young brother lost his life on the streets. And it stuck with me because I haven't experienced something like this in London. I can't tell you, I mean, I've got friends who've been to jail for stabbing someone in a chicken shop or something like that, but nothing crazy like over here. So I wanted to talk about this, and I wanted to get all of you guys in here so that we can talk about how we can combat this issue, what we can do to improve the community. I mean, I feel like I'm a part of this community, so I thought it was suitable for us to discuss this. So I've got my brother Petty Pro, he'll be up on this panel. We've got Prospect, who's one of the OG homies. We've got Sister Jamilah, who does a lot of work with the community and especially focuses on the incarcerated people struggling within their incarceration and after coming out. And we also have Hanan, who's a local, she works within the community a lot, and she's an artist as well. So I'd like to welcome you all up front, and we can begin.
Louder. Louder? Yeah. Hello, assalamu
وعليكم السلام. طيب.
You might got some time, man. You doing, brother?
Bro, I thought you looked familiar, bro.
Yeah, I was with you last night. Did you come with Will?
Huh?
Did you come with Will? No, you didn't. Can you guys hear me out?
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, so if we can start from the right, from Hanan, and then we can introduce her.
Hello everyone, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Hanan Hassan, and I am an interdisciplinary artist. I am also an education programmer at the Northwest Film Forum, so if anyone has any questions about how they can get their kids or their family members into filmmaking workshops, I'm here for that as well. I have lived in Seattle, or I live in Washington since 2003, I believe, and I've lived in various communities. I would say for the longest period of time I've been living between SeaTac and Tukwila. And any of you who live here, you know, you've seen the changes, the vast changes that have happened in those communities. So I hope to expand on my experience about that, and then also to just bring my perspective as a young Black Muslim woman in America.
So like I'm Jamilah, I am the only woman that goes into what everyone considers as called Peru. But it's Washington Correctional Center for Women. It's the only prison for women in the state of Washington. I was doing it individually until I was was introduced to Waco, is the Washington Chaplain, Islamic Chapel. It is under the umbrella of, at this moment, Derek Rashid. I'll talk more about that and what we are doing. Sometimes people tend to forget there are Muslims that are incarcerated, and the beauty is that a lot of them are Rishadas, mashallah. So people are being forgotten and in those spaces, and if we can acknowledge that and have a space for them to come out and to embrace them and have something waiting for them, that it will bring so much light that they do have. Some of these sisters I go in into, they are, majority that I see, they're broken. And sad to say, they are being broken due to men. A lot of them have those issues. And so I first try to work on the healing side, the trauma side. But mashallah, they got that part of accepting the deen. So that's what I am doing with Waco. At the moment, I sit as the treasurer for Waco, and I'm also trying to bring awareness. I've been around since 2010, but I just even ran to this brother Musa. Like, we are doing things out here individually, and if we come together collectively, I think we can get more done in the community. We cannot forget those who have been put into prison voluntarily. Let's keep it real. We have done some things that we got to go sit down. But however, to redeem yourself and to get out, that's what we are here for. Not for what you did in the past, but what are you trying to move forward to do. So, inshallah, I'll be speaking on that, on women's perspective of incarceration.
So, before I even introduce myself, I want to highlight something that she shared. The first Muslim in my family, no, y'all can hear me, right?
No.
No?
Yeah.
Okay. You guys hear me now? No. I was kind of left. The first Muslim in my family actually reverted in the penitentiary. And so I know there's a lot of kind of shade going towards brothers who are Muslim in prison, or they become Muslim in prison. But that was my first interaction with Islam. Was my uncle, and he didn't get released until I was 5 years old. And he gave me a lot of dawah to keep me on the straight path, even to this day. Like, that's probably one of my best mentors. And Islam has brought us to be something like the sub-family in my family, because everybody else is Christian and whatnot. So, but my name is Petty. My Muslim name is Abdullah Sharif. And because there's so many Abdullahs, they just call me Petty, so call me Petty. What do? I'm a high school basketball coach. I coach at Cleveland High School. I'm also a director at the Urban League of Metropolitan Seattle, and I've been in the education field there. I've been in the workforce, and now I'm in fund development, which is like focusing on corporate partnerships and whatnot. What else? I'm also an entrepreneur. What Islam failed to mention is that we are also founding a label right now, which is going to be geared towards Islam and hip-hop culture, where they mix but don't clash. So that's been pretty interesting. It's been a journey so far. We haven't launched yet, but look forward to that. And I can break down some more stuff around the work that I do with at-risk youth and incarcerated youth, and even formerly incarcerated people. But I want my brother to introduce himself.
Hello?
Assalamu
My name is Prospect. It's spelled the regular way. My real name is Abdullah. I've lived around here my whole life. I'm not as interesting as these guys. I drive over just to get these guys. Yeah, I used to music, transition, doing poetry with this Hanan Petty. I've lived around here my whole life, and they hopefully need to talk about a lot of what's going on. Can you hear me? Yeah, I haven't done this in a while, but yeah, that's that. My name's Abdullah Prospect, and we'll talk more during the discussion.
what I believe this brother has failed to mention is how influential he is in this community and how much he's been impacted. And we've had several conversations on different strategies we can do to better impact these youth and to end some of these cycles of violence.
Yeah, I appreciate all of you. When we were building this panel, when I was talking to Hamid, who helped us organize this, I was all the way in London, so there wasn't anything I could do. We wanted to get a mix and a blend of different personalities because everyone's got different opinions and they've got different ideas for what they can do. So right now, I mean, what I can see is it's really tense, and I know some people are scared to even leave their homes. And I know a lot of the youth, especially, they get caught up unwillingly. They're just out there, man, and then they get caught up, and then they end up serving time, or they just end up looking out for their younger brothers, or they want to look out for their families. But while they're doing that, they lose their own lives. So it's quite a tricky situation. But I wanted us to talk about that, and maybe we can find someone who can find inspiration and they can take that back.
So I actually can break down some statistics. I work with the county on several different projects. The reality is I think it was last updated in 2017. I believe there were 60 murders in the county, which is a lot for King County. That's a lot for King County. We're very small, so to have 60 murders from gun violence in 1 year was a lot. Out of those 60 murders, 85% of the victims were between the ages of 16 and 24, and they were African American. Out of the perpetrators, 85% of them were between 16 and 24, and they were African American. Right? Those are the statistics. And then we can even bring down institutional racism. Statistics have constantly proven that when there's a lack of economic opportunities, there's an increase in crime, right? And you look what's happening right now, you look how rent's skyrocketing, how we can't afford to live here, and we're resorting to alternative ways to make money. And one, as a Muslim, it's not halal usually, and two, you can put your life in jeopardy, or your freedom in jeopardy, right? Would you guys agree? Yeah. You guys are kind of quiet right now. I mean, we should be very passionate. We're losing our young people. I mean, 2 days ago, we just lost a young person in our community. We should be very passionate about this because we're losing the future. Like, we're going to die, and the young people in this room are going to take over. And if we're not passionate about their lives and their safety and their well-being, then what are we doing with our lives right now? And so those are just some of the stats that I know because I've been involved with the county. But the reality is everybody has a strategy. I've been a part of the Credible Messengers, which is a model taken from DC. And I was a part of the brothers who did the BPC, the Career Bridge. You have Dominique Davis, who does Community Passageways. There's a lot of different strategies, man, but at the end of the day, we're still losing our young people. I mean, I can speak all day, but I want to hear from the crowd, man. Go ahead, brother.
Brother, it starts in the home. If you cannot find a role model in your own home, that's a problem right there. All right? And the problem I see is when the children, my name is Abdullah. I'm the former president of Rainier Beach Sports Program. I did it for 22 years out here at Rainier Beach, deep into the pool. I grew up right, I'm from Holly Park. I'm from this neighborhood. I got shot out in the streets when I was out there hustling back in the day. But I'm gonna tell you like this. When there's a breakdown in the family, that's the problem. But what I'm seeing too many of these families where the fathers are not involved. That's the problem right there. That's the major problem right there. And it's in the African American community. My wife's Somali, she's in the Somali community. That's what the problem is. And that needs to be addressed. Until these men start getting involved, it's going to be a problem. We could have all these programs out here. If these young men do not see a better way, because the self-destructive way that we're going now is taking us nowhere.
Yes.
I don't have to worry. I'm not worried about my sons because I'm there. It's these brothers. But we as a community have to come together. And I applaud every brother and sister in the community who's out here trying to do something. But it starts in the home. Behavior starts in the home.
And I validate that 100%. The only hood I think is fatherhood. But let me add on to that. there's an ancient African proverb that says it takes a village to raise a child, right? The reality is my father was not involved. My father's my homie. I'm gonna keep it. He came to the studio the other night. My dad randomly texted me at 2 a.m. What you guys doing? At the studio, come through. He didn't raise me. I didn't have a father growing up. My father was the streets. You know what I mean? And I still try. And Islam has been my saving grace. I put that out there, but I want to say that it does take a community. Because the reality is I know your son. He played basketball for me. I love you, bro, like my little brother.
There was a time, there was community in Seattle.
Right.
The community was Central area.
Yes.
Community in Holly
Yes.
Park.
Big
When they
facts.
come and gentrify and spread everybody out, the community is lost.
Facts, big fact. Like I said, I validate anything everybody has to say in this room is valid. Because we all experience this, right? I just want to reiterate that it does start in the home, but it also takes a village. Because we all get. So there's another brother who played the same basketball team as your bro, who I coached.
Yeah.
And I'm really big at where I'm at. I'm not the desk jockey. I'm in the community doing my work.
Yes.
I was working at Rainier Beach Library. A fight breaks out. Police show up. Two, three police cars over a little altercation. I walk out there. It just so happened that I coached this kid in high school basketball.
Yeah.
Snatch me to the side, bro. What are you doing? You about to go to jail. What are you fighting over? Police come over. Oh, we need to. Nah, hold up, man. I know this kid. What are you doing? And right away, the police like, you know what? Handle your business. If you don't handle it, it's coming with me. And alhamdulillah, man, the brother listened to me, walking around the block, so the altercation was dead. But what if I wasn't there?
There you go.
You know what I mean? And that's what I mean. All of us in this room have a responsibility to our community, period. It don't matter how many white people are gonna put up money to try to change things, man, if we don't change ourselves. Me and the brother Will, who I was hoping was gonna hop on this panel, we got awarded $500,000 from BSK to do this work. But 2 people only have so much capacity. And that's one thing that, even though Esau's not up here, one thing that we talk about all the time in the studio is how do we have a positive influence? How do we message? Hip-hop is the most influential art form. I believe so. I mean, you see in Asia, they're getting dreads and stuff now and everything, right? How do we put that in our messaging to the point where these brothers realize that we're one? Even if you're not even Muslim, we live and we eat all the same restaurants, we see each other day by day. I don't want to take over on the mic, man. I'm saying too much.
He's right. One thing, you're absolutely right, Brother Umar. Going into the prisons, speaking to the women, on a woman's perspective, one thing I do always hear is the father. The father wasn't there. The father didn't tell them that they were beautiful. So they hooked up with some dude, and because women, we're gonna follow the man if he leave. But we need to teach our girls that you only follow if he's leaving to be if they're a good Muslim. But however, a lot of the non-Muslims are the ones who become Muslim, mashallah. But it's sad to say that they always have a history of prostitution. And who started the prostitution? The men. And so they are looking for that father figure, and that man becomes their father figure, and then they tend to trust and believe these lies that they tell them. And then, of course, we know from prostitution leads to drugs, right? Now you're on drugs, and now you got to fix your addiction. And so from drugs leads to crime, robbery. And then what else he do, that man? He tells them to set the trick up. Then next thing you know, things went bad. And now she's sitting there on work. These are the things that we are hearing, I am hearing, I have heard, that goes on in these prisons with these sisters, with how it all started. And it's the absence of a man. And with these sisters, and I see it's now bleeding over to the Muslim community, that the father is in the home. But the father, he's not being what that child, that girl needs, is to always look in the mirror and say that, because she remembered that her father has told her that I'm beautiful, right? With my hijab on. So that's why you see these little girls coming out of their hijabs, or I call it snapback hijabs, right? Because no one is telling them, the father. See, not us, not the sisters, it's the father that needs to be telling these babies how beautiful they are in their hijabs. That they are beautiful, they're princesses. And they got, it's haram. Come on, the haram is not getting it, right? It's stroking her emotions, telling her, you know, why she's so beautiful and why she's so important. Not just the fact that you should wear it in white, no, that she's beautiful with it on. And why? And once again, it's the father who is the most important piece, and not just the boys, in these girls' lives, and they are missing it, and they are yearning for a father to tell them they're beautiful, and if not, they're going to hear it from these little knucklehead boys, who is also encouraging them to do prostitution, to steal, and everything. And I'm going to pass the mic because I see a hand up.
Alright, so we already established the excuses because there's been way too much, and this has been going on for way too long. And oh yeah, hold on, let me address the whole crowd. Oh yeah. And alright, so we already established the excuses, and I've been hearing them for too long. I mean, sometimes it's my dad wasn't there, the mom's not there. It don't matter though, period. Whoever's there needs to put their foot down. Okay, and then you establish that you need the dad. Okay, well, but what is he not there? So what are you gonna do? Where do you go from there? Are you just gonna right there? Are you just gonna stand right there and after that just come to a roadblock? Like, come on now. What are you gonna do now? And so I just been hearing it for too long.
I can speak on a mother's perspective, and alhamdulillah, my sons do have a father, but guess what? He's not there all the time. And so as a mother, when the father is not around, sometimes you got to put on your Timberlands. You feel me?
I feel you.
My sons know. I will get out there on that block, and I'm going to show you who's the toughest one out there. It's just for me, right? But that's just how I raised. I came from out of St. Louis, Missouri. Do we need to say more? Okay? So I can just say that for me. Some sisters, because we are naturally feminine, we're naturally women. Some women, it's different for other sisters, but it takes the youth to be able to look at their mom and say, at the end of the day, that's my true homie. Because where are the homies when you need commissary? You know what I feel? So it's like, you're right. Enough of the excuses, but there are excuses. And that's what keeps me going. Because I do fine. How many excuses for the Muslim? You feel me? You come on, you understand. You've been raised Muslim. You know you. So you do have to find excuses for you to have empathy, right? And sympathy to keep hope that things is going to change and things are going to turn around. You have to have it, brother. I have to continue to look on a social level and say, what is the problem? Because if we don't, we're going to turn a blind eye, right? So we all, like the brother said, it takes a village, right? And if that sister needs support, I got you.
We all got her.
Right.
We all got her.
Right.
But I'm just saying, like, I know from my mom, me and my mom already been through everything, literally. And my mom was that mom that the dad was not there. But she put her foot down. And even my mom, she said to Islamic school, it was like $300 a kid. I swear she didn't even have it. I don't even know how she paid. But you know what? Everybody in that community, from the Chatmasters to Rucker to wherever, they made sure we was there. And she was that mom though, that literally did not have the man there. but she still made it work. So that's why I'm saying all this, because I went to jail, I went to prison already. I'm only 20 right now. But like my mom, and I realized that she was my homie. So, and then my mom only didn't have an effect on me. She actually had an effect on my homies too. So it's like, I'm bringing the homies around, you feel me? Because I'm not trying to have them out there in the streets. So my mom's having an effect on them too, you know?
So tell me this. Tell me this, and let's be transparent, okay? Let's honestly, because like you said, you're alive and living example. Your mom was there, right? She did the best she could. What still made you get incarcerated? Let's be transparent.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. What happened?
I think it was just literally the surroundings. Literally surroundings. And once I left literally the surroundings where I was at, I wasn't around the Muslim community no more. When I didn't have that Muslim community, it was over. And then cause we couldn't pay for the school no more. So we wasn't able to go. Like literally, I think we ran out of help or something. But Allah still made us, still found a way. But I really think it was just because literally we came out of the Islamic community.
So what's the solution?
The Islamic community is still the solution. Literally.
Yeah, I kind of want to speak on that also. Yeah, so I don't know. I guess the problem I had growing up, right, was we have family. You know what I'm saying? We have parents from a different country, right? And growing up, you get into stupid stuff, and your parents tell you, "Hey, I don't want you hanging around that. We're not supposed to be doing that. We're not from da da da," right? And then I had a conversation with my parents, with my mom before she passed. May Allah rest her soul. I told her, I said, we came from a war-torn country, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I got 30, 40 relatives that died, you know what I'm saying? I got homies that died, you know? I guess my thing was just asking that question of like, how did you cope with death, right? Because, growing up, a lot of us, I don't want to say a lot of us, but some of us probably have friends that have died, or, you know what I'm saying, or around them, or whatever. I think the community, I feel like, I don't know, I guess my plan to the younger generation that's growing up right now is, I guess to help with those questions, you know what I mean? Like if somebody comes up to you and tells you, "Hey, my homie just died in my hands," you know what I'm saying? Like, what do I do? What should I do? They can't go to their dad, they can't go to their mom, you know what I'm saying? Because that is different. I don't know how to explain it. But, I don't know, I feel like, yeah. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah.
I know it because I felt it. And it's when your homie dies, you come to a crossroad. Because you have to be reactionary somehow. And how do you react? Like, if I tell my mom, my homie just got killed, she was like, what was you doing? Where was you at? But if I tell the homie gonna be like, "Bro, you ready?" And I remember, I've experienced a lot of death. But when it's somebody who's really close to you and it hits home and your homies, everybody's impacted, we're all looking at each other like, what do we do? And the one outlet that me and Esau found was, once we found out what we believe to be permissible, acapella hip-hop, that helped us kind of channel our energy into something positive. But I had plenty of homies, I was like, "Bro, like, you gotta think, let's go ride." Like, I know when he riding, I'm like, man, like, I had to really make a decision for myself what path I want to go down. But the reality is that's why I'm saying it's a holistic approach. It does take a village. And we are the only spider can fix a spider's web. Right? Oh, go ahead, sister.
Assalamu alaikum. So my name is Kalima. I actually left at the age of 6, so I just came back. I have a lot of family here, so. But I had a question because this is a very relevant, topic. It does take a child, it does take a village to raise a child. But my question is, how put together is that village? From my understanding, there are a lot of different various cultures that live here in the city of Seattle. And because of tribalism and because of discrimination and bad race relations, those are kind of like problems that kind of filter in within the village and kind of tear us apart. And I've heard a lot of it from my siblings. It's not something that's necessarily unique to Seattle. This is an everywhere problem for Muslims in America. But my question is how do you put together a village when you have problems like tribalism and colorism and racism and discrimination kind of proliferating into our communities? I mean, if you look around this room, like, I don't even see the Arabs here, and they're like all the way in the north. So, and even there's, kind of like bad race relations, even ones like Africans and Black Americans, and what I'm saying? So, like, I feel like those are kind of, conversations that we also have to have in order to bring about a stronger village, and it's not necessarily like, talking about like the outer problems that we have, like Islamophobia is good and all, but we also have to focus on the intercommunal problems that happen, because of those problems that result in youth violence and domestic violence and gender-based violence. So.
I totally agree with you on that. Thank you so much for bringing up that important piece of information, because I think that there's, as Muslims are compassionate people. We are people who like rush to help people, and in the day-to-day life, we're people who will stop what we're doing in order to assist other people. But I think that there's a fundamental lack of compassion for each other, and I think that's something that we need to experience. We need to show up for each other in times of grief, because when we see other people going through their emotions and going through the motions of what it's like to experience grief, or what it's like to experience, calamity, that we will be able to put ourselves in the shoes of those people and to sit with them and to feel that pain with them. And when we feel pain with other people, we are capable of standing with them like they are ours, like they're our family. And when I think about the challenges in our community, I really think about there's like two main challenges, and I think it's the lack of empathy that we have for each other and the lack of compassion that we have for each other. We're supposed to be people who try to mirror the Prophet, peace be upon him, and the well of compassion and empathy that he had for people who had animosity for him. We don't give ourselves and we don't give each other that luxury, and I think that that's something that's truly missing for us to truly be following the sunnah of the Prophet, peace be upon him. We have to fundamentally look in the mirror and say, yeah, I have things, I have hang-ups about other people, I have unconscious biases about other people, and I need to open myself to really experiencing the fullness of my humanity, which includes empathy. So there's that, and then there's, coming from the Somali community and seeing what happened to Tukwila. No one teaches people about ownership. No one's teaching people about what it looks like to, create an LLC, or what's a sole proprietorship, or you're in this building and you're accruing wealth for this community and for this city for 20 or so years, and they can just kick you out because you don't own it. We need to start with spaces. We build those spaces, and we need to start within, right? So I think those are the two things that we really need to tackle, is that internal connection with ourselves, with Allah, with our brothers and sisters, Muslim and otherwise. And also just what does it mean to be a part of a community and to have a place to congregate. If we have no space, if every time we build something it's knocked down, whether that's, Black Wall Street to Tukwila, if every time we try to do something it's knocked down, we need people to educate themselves on how to utilize the system in a way where we are preserving ourselves and taking care of our people, and then, in extension, taking care of others. So, compassion.
So we don't have much time left on this panel. It's crazy because you guys are talking about stuff I had no idea that we could touch upon. But let's get to the next question.
and then we'll round up.
But one thing I want to touch on, and it's also for as a parent and also for the youth, and I think what we are lacking as adult Muslims is we're not allowing these babies to marry. Really.
Preach.
We are not. So, what? Me and my husband always have this discussion. We always talk to our sons and our daughters about this. It's like, if you even have to come and live with us, right? I'd rather have a halal problem than a haram problem. Any day. So, you don't have to sneak. If you like her, you go to her father. And I think these are conversations we're not talking. You're too young. No, they're not too. We got babies. I'm going to say, I'm sorry. You're not too young, right? Even as a parent, I got to help, right? Support in some type of way. I'd rather have a halal problem than a haram problem. But we are teaching these children that you got to wait till you're 25 and 29 and wait till you're done with college and wait till you're this and wait till you're that in order to get married. What are we teaching these youth? Yes. It's a human, it's a natural urge. And why are we, come on. So as an adult Muslim that have teenage children, I encourage my students, 19, you're ready, let's do this, right? Bring her in, but you better not talk to her if you have not spoken with that sister's father or whoever her wali is. See, and these are the conversations we're not talking to these youths about. So, she's absolutely correct. And that's what Waco is also trying to create. Financial literacy, marriage counseling, funerals, right? For everyone. And we are definitely forgetting about these brothers that's coming out of prison. These are lions. I want to be in their spaces because they have been in, they have learned this deen, and they have fallen in love with it. Then they get out and see, what is this? Our ummah was tighter in Walla Walla than it is at the masjid. SubhanAllah. So I think you're absolutely right. We need to start into a space with like-minded people. And once we do that, I really believe that it will change. I really do.
I'm going to go ahead and mention some resources for people, and I'll get to your question. So it looks like late April, me and the Urban League will be launching our entrepreneurship center. So to touch on what the sister was saying, we'll be having resources. We'll have people from the county, from different ventures, and even banks. Unfortunately, banks don't give us halal loans. But then we're talking about how to get access to capital, how to get contracts and capacity building, and forming your LLC or 501c3 for those who are interested in entrepreneurship and ownership. As far as formerly incarcerated adults, we have the Career Bridge program at the Urban League, which was actually formed by the Black Prisoners Caucus, and it's all geared towards getting them certain credentials and skills and getting them to the workforce. Dominique Davis has community passageways, which does restorative justice for juveniles. And so he was able to get a lot of cases dropped. I can't even tell you, I think it's in the hundreds of years, maybe even thousands of years now, how many years he's able to get dropped off some of these youth cases. And one issue that I just met with him, I want to say on Wednesday or Thursday, and we're trying to get around this whole D-Dub Holly Park beef, right? We just lost a brother too, most likely. And you can go on Instagram and do your FBI research, and you got brothers walking around with pistols, spitting on cars, I'm on your block, what's up? Like, it's bad right now, right? And Dominique Davis, there's a barrier between him and the Somali community, right? And I'm married to a Somali woman, alhamdulillah, and I've coached a lot of Somali kids, and I've been very, interactive with Holly Park and Rainier Vista, but at the same time, with me, there's that language barrier. And so I told them, if you have the capacity to hire somebody that's Somali, then that's a saving grace right there. And the first person that came to mind was this brother right here, who's been influential for I don't know how many years in this community. And so I'm also a credible messenger. I know Abdullah Petty, I was working with that same model with the youth. And that's what I want to get on, is it has to be a holistic approach. Like, if I have a model that works, every community that's suffering should have that same model, right? And you guys, of course, can expand upon that, but there are resources out here for brothers and sisters who are going through anything from sex trafficking, lack of knowledge, violence, you name it, lack of economic opportunities, and we just have to spread the awareness and each one teach one. There's so many people in this room, there's so much power in this room. We got to start sharing this knowledge and stop working in silos. And even just hearing about your organization, like, we need to meet on Monday or Tuesday and put some stuff together, inshallah. Like, we are the answer. Only a spider can fix a spider's web. I cannot reiterate that enough. We are the answer. We are the solution. I don't know if you want to ask your question. He did. We skipped it. I'm so sorry. He got the flyest hat in the room. We skipped the question.
No, I wasn't really going to speak a question. I was just going to chime in on some of the stuff. I grew up in this area. I'm from the city. I grew up in the South. I'm from Seattle. I grew up city, South End. Yes, I grew up in this area, CD South End, when this was the first Holly Park, and this was King Center. And I've been through a lot of hardships in this city, and I've done a lot of jail time and prison time. And to chime in on one of the things when you were talking about the absence of fathers, what a lot of people don't realize is I didn't grow up with my father in my life. He stayed in Holly Court. We stayed on Kenyon, across from the Kenyon apartments. And I used to go over his house and get food and stuff. He used to go to the food bank, but he wasn't an active father figure like that. He ended up getting shot 5 times over there. I ended up, going to the joint doing a bunch of time. When I got out, we was able to mend our relationship and pick up where we left off. But he's still like my partner. He's like my homie. He was able to pretty much assist me in buying a home. He came through at the right time. The thing that it comes down to is education and economics. Without any of that being addressed, I don't care what your faith is, I don't care who you know, without education and economics, you don't have nothing. I see the CD getting gentrification. That's to stay on 28th and Lane, and that tan house used to be red, right behind Tabernacle, you know what I'm saying? Mr. and Mrs. Little corner store right there on 28th across from South Jackson Park, where they started to say that, you know what I'm saying? That whole area, gentrified. When you have a man that gives birth to a child or children, and he doesn't have any source of to be able to provide for him, he's going to the block. That's going to keep him away from his kids. He's probably not going to use that money to take care of his kid, because he got to re-up, and then he got to live a life and take care of his own finances. If he doesn't know the importance of taking care of that child because his father wasn't there, then he's not going to do it. So it all comes down to education and economics. I'm an entrepreneur as well. I own my own business. I've been in the labor's union 8 years. Between me and my dad, I have a son. And me and his mom's not together, but she bet not tell me I can't see my son. We argue about how much time that I get with him. So it's not, you don't always have to be there to be the support that you need to be. Between me and my dad, I'm the 3rd generation of my name. I'm Harvey the 3rd, and my son is Prince Harvey. But just between me and my dad alone, our name is worth over $500 million in life insurance policies that he took out on me for me and my sister, and another $100,000 life insurance policy that he took out on my son last year, the $300,000 home. So it's all about equity. It's all about education and economics. If you're not teaching people who they are and what the powerfulness they can be, then this is what's going to happen. People are going to keep getting shot. You're not going to be able to go talk to nobody from Holly or D-Dub and cause no truce if it's not about no money. I can tell you that right now. Good game and Godspeed and all the luck to you to try to stop that beef. But that beef comes down to respect, education, and economics. Peace and power. I'm good.
One more question.
Yes, Assalamualaikum. So, alhamdulillah, the sister brought up a question about like the tribalism and the intercommunity like racism that we have amongst us. And alhamdulillah for the other sister's response about like compassion. So I just wanted to say in addition that the things, alhamdulillah, Allah, develops within us these characteristics of compassion and empathy and generosity and kindness. When we become Muslim, alhamdulillah, we follow the example of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we see from his example like an extraordinary concern for humanity. That, it's like if a non-Muslim came to him and asked him to address an injustice, he would respond. So, that was like all humanity. It wasn't just like the Muslims that he responded to with his support. So, how to go from that to, in developing those characteristics, like we have those characteristics, but to apply those things, you have to know like who people are, it's like in building community, if I want to build community with another human being and I don't have that person's experience, there's things that I could do just in communicating with them that could be like offensive to them. It could be something as simple as like, I'm offering you some food that you absolutely this is not part of your cultural program and you're not gonna like it. You might not eat that food, I might become offended, just something small could lead to like, us being like further alienated from each other. So there's like some energy and effort that we have to put into learning about the people around us, especially the people who've been in America before a lot of us immigrants came here. Like the opportunities that we're being able to access, a lot of people, we're riding on other people's backs in their efforts, We're riding on the back of the civil rights movement, like Muslims too. When we ask for rights, we're talking about like constitutional rights, there's a whole lot of people that put a lot of, a lot of people that put a lot of effort into that, now we as a community can benefit from that, right? It's like, I'll call it out, like African Americans, there's Asian Americans, there's Latino Americans that put a lot of effort into like making America great, so now like, in order for us to really build community, I need to know who you are. I need to be able to culturally communicate with you. Like, there's a lot of work and a lot of volume I don't think we study enough, like how the Sahaba got to know each other. They did have to profit. They did come from different places and different backgrounds. And when they were out of line, like Rasulullah would check them on it. When there was like racism, that was like a no-no. Like you had to like really, you had to get rid of that or you had not completely entered the fold of Islam. So like in getting to know somebody, I can like appreciate them, I can appreciate their experience, and then I can have more respect for their experience. I could see them in a different way. Like I could see their struggle, what they came through, and so I have like respect for them. You know what I mean? I'm able to have more empathy for where you're at because I understand your experience. And when I can see you, in the positive light of your struggle, of your ancestry, of the beauty of your culture, I see you in a different way. I see your beauty. I see what you're capable of. I see your strength. So, if I was to look at a young man in our community, this could be a young person that's like making money in a haram way. You know what I'm saying? Like they're trying to pay those bills, whatever. They're trying to like support themselves. And I can see that person, I would say, man, this young thug is like really like he's thugging it out here. He's like selling drugs, like. Or I could look at him and I could say, here's a young entrepreneur. He's got a history of struggle. He's already come through a lot just to get to where he's at. And he may not be at a place that's like, I'm comfortable with, but that's just the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not necessarily where he's gonna end up. But I have to be able to like culturally communicate in order to have a conversation where I'm saying like, yo, I see you. I see you're an entrepreneur. I see that you have made lifelong friendships, talking about street organizations, right? You're able to make lifelong friendships with people. You're able to establish an organization. Yo, these are like straight business skills. You know what I mean? Like, but if I need to know you, I need to be able to communicate with you in a language that you can understand, that I can understand. I need to know your cultural history. You know what I mean? I do not want to offend you. If I'm offending you, we're not going to be able to communicate. We're not going to be able to make progress. So as a community that are made up of different people from different places, we need to acknowledge first that a lot of people did a lot of things, so we could just be like walking down the street today. We could be like on a bus, sitting on the front of the bus. We could be in a restaurant that's got like people of diverse like cultural backgrounds in that restaurant. You know, acknowledge the history of the struggle that took place here before we got here. Acknowledge those folks, you know, acknowledge respect, get to know other folks, you know, so you can be respectful, and then they can learn about you and be respectful to you, and then, inshallah, you can make some progress. So I just want to shout out to like all the young people in the room that are, you know, all the young people in the room that are like really working on their lives, you know, working on that entrepreneurship, working on the music, working on, you know, turning things around and trying to do well. They need us to see them in a positive light and continue to support their efforts. Get to know them, get to know each other, so we can like make this work.
I just want to give a huge shout out to my guy Bilal, aka Intellectuals, and we saw everybody else who will push us together. The fact that we're able to be in this room and have this conversation is huge to me. And I think that this is just the foundation of what we can accomplish in the next. We saw a lot sooner than later. So can we give this brother a round of applause?
Unfortunately, we're out of time for this panel. I didn't know that it was going to pop off like this. I can see everyone's got something to say. Usually people ask questions to sound smart. You guys are actually asking questions because you actually want to ask questions. And you guys have, I can see the pain within a lot of people here. So I appreciate you all for contributing. I appreciate the panelists. I wish we had more time, but we need to get into the performances. And then we need to get to the other ones to give everyone a fair opportunity. So thank you guys very much. I appreciate it. And
There's also refreshments and drinks right here too, y'all.
yeah, so we got refreshments on the side, we've got mobile bags at the back. We've got intellectual as well. Yeah.